let people log on.
Mm-hmm.
Stana, you look pretty.
I do look good.
Megan's gonna.
Just
are
me.
we live?
Yeah, we're live. It's just me in the frame right now.
So how do I know when they can hear me?
Man,
Like
hopefully
right now?
they can hear you. Yeah. People are joining, John.
I get
Believe it or not, people are joining. They do want to see you,
Hey,
man.
I was born in '72. This whole thing.
I told you.
I have Polaroids.
We're just giving it a second, guys. Thank you for logging on. I appreciate it. Thank you. We're just giving it 2 seconds.
How
And
many,
by 2
how many
seconds,
people
I mean
have ever
like
seen him
1.5
with his hair down,
minutes.
by the way?
We hear you.
I know I just look like I came out of a cave, but that cave is harvest.
It was a cheesecake, actually. It was
Yeah.
aging middle.
We literally finished like an hour ago. I did shower. If you were asking that question, I did.
It's not smell-o-vision. They don't
No,
care.
it isn't scratch and sniff. That's correct. Look at this spread. I'm excited to be able to do this. It'll be fun. It was a long day. But we're excited to do it. So, thank you guys. Thank you very much.
We're good.
We're good.
We're good.
We're good. Just giving it a couple more seconds, you guys. What up? What up? Good to see you. Thank you so much. I hope you guys are enjoying your night. 6:30. Should be about dinner time or maybe cheese time.
Just getting started. Appetizers.
We already crushed a couple beers. Just got started. Now we're about to have some wine. Everything good? Okay. What do we think? We'll hit 6:32 and we'll begin. We're gonna try and this is gonna be about 45 minutes. I hope I'm thinking that's the goal. 45 minutes here. Not a bunch longer than 45 minutes.
Hey, my wife just logged in. She does like me.
Wow.
Hi,
That's
babe.
amazing. Okay, what do we think? Should we start this thing? Should we do this? You guys ready?
5,
4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, good to see you guys. Chase here, Chase Carhart. If you guys have not seen me before, hopefully I have met and love all of you. I'm here with my good friend John Moore. He is a lifeguard captain in Newport Beach, California.
Yep.
Amazing man. You're a veteran of how many years?
Just had my 33rd summer on the beach.
33rd summer on the beach. He's got a tan body under this shirt. So, just so you guys know, for all the ladies out there, and you, Kelly, you know that. We got Katie behind the scenes here, guys. She's going to be helping with any tech issues that may arise. Hopefully not. That's why we're doing it here at the tasting room, at the Carhart cabin, because it's cool and it has the best internet, because the ranch is terrible. So, I just wanted to let you guys know, I just got off harvest. It's been a wicked week so far, and it is only Tuesday. We got a long week ahead. We're going to be harvesting more grapes, but that's for another time, a little bit of an update. We want to focus in on what we're doing here, which is going to be a multi-level educational Facebook and Instagram Live, which was our first one. We're really excited to be doing that. And so just to give you guys a little scope, hopefully most of you have been following along via email. Some of you probably have bought the wines, which is great. If you haven't, they are going to be available. They are available for sale online. These are new releases. But basically the idea of today is we're going to be doing a how-to build a cheese board, because this guy right here is an absolute master. When we go down to events in LA, particularly LA, he shows up at most of them if you guys have been there, and he's creating these beautiful cheese boards, and you guys have been always very active in saying that, I guess active in complimenting him. And so we wanted to teach you guys not only how to build a cheese board, we'll talk about the two wines just on their own, wines themselves, and then we'll also taste the wines with 3 cheeses that we selected. Wines that go well with the cheeses. Each of the wines go well with one of the cheeses, and both, also the wines don't go well with one of the cheeses, if that makes sense. So we're going to be tasting both of those, and both the wines go well with one of the cheeses. That sounded confusing, but it's going to make sense as we get into it. So it's going to be very educational. Anyways, I'm excited. What am I missing, John? Anything?
So, introduce the wines.
Introduce the wines. Okay.
What are we drinking tonight?
So what we are drinking tonight, you guys, is the 2019 Pinot Gris Venture. Do I want to go into detail on that first, or
No.
I think it's 2019 Pinot Gris Venture Pinot Gris, and also the 2018 Wayward Sun, which is a Pinot Noir from Santa Rita Hills. Those are two brand new releases. It's not something that we've had past vintages, but these are brand new releases. So pretty exciting stuff.
And then we selected 3 cheeses, as Chase had mentioned. We went with a mini Basque. It's a Spanish sheep's milk cheese. It kind of has that same herringbone pattern that you would see in a manchego, which is another famous Spanish cheese. We picked a Port Salut, more on the creamy side. It's cow's milk. And we also picked Mimolette. And it's an aged cheese. We'll kind of get more into selecting cheeses to selecting wines in a little bit. But I was one time told that the best thing to do is taste the wine before you make the cheese board.
I agree. I told you that.
Oh,
I said that.
I was a wise man.
It always is a good idea to taste the wines before the cheese. Do we want to build a cheese board first, or do you want to taste the wines first?
It's happy hour. Let's taste the wine first.
Okay, let's taste the wines. So, if you guys wouldn't mind, if you have the Pinot Gris 2019 here, I'll pour a little for John and myself. Ooh, that's the tasting room phone. That's
I turned off my cell phone.
I don't think we can do business while we're on Facebook or Instagram Live. Let's click that on.
That's how we roll.
Cool.
how we
That's
roll.
fun stuff. All right. Cheers, John.
Cheers.
Okay, guys. So, I'll bring this bottle back into the frame here. 2019 Pinot Gris. Here's the deal. 2015. Just a quick background, couple minutes. 2015, I did a harvest abroad in Tasmania. That's a little island south of Melbourne, Australia. At a place called Stefano Lubiana. Incredible wines. If you guys ever make it down there, that's the place to go, particularly for sparkling wines. But in that area, cool climate, I got some experience in Pinot Gris production. Now, prior to that harvest, I really didn't think much of Pinot Gris. I kind of felt that it was sort of like a basic variety. Yes, acidic, but just not multi-layered like other white varieties that I had had before. So I get there, we make Pinot Gris, and lo and behold, it's cold, it's fermented cold in barrel. And I was like blown away. Like it was like a totally new experience for me. So when I came back, that's exactly what we did, and that's what we still do, is we actually, this Pinot Gris, the fruit comes from Riverbench Vineyard in Santa Maria Valley. And we actually harvest that fruit, bring it in, let it sit on the skins for, we crush it a little bit, let it sit on the skins for 1 to 2 days. Some of it I kind of partition for 1 to 2 days. We press it off. It gets racked into neutral white barrels, and then it goes through a very slow native fermentation in neutral white barrels. The deal with that is not only is it native fermentation, but the barrel, to me, kind of allows a little bit more of this oxidation effect, but also kind of rounds out the mouthfeel. So a lot of what we're doing here in Pinot Gris, and I think what you're going to see in this wine, which is different from a lot of the Pinot Gris that maybe you've tried in the past, is, and this is a commonality throughout most of our white wines, texture. Okay, so oiliness, viscosity. So when you take a sip of this wine, I know most people kind of take a sip and they're very cautious and they'll let it flow from the front of their tongue, the back of their tongue, down their throat, that's it. Like really coat the inside of your mouth. So we're talking about viscosity here. Like I said, oiliness. So the difference between olive oil and water, it's a very different feeling in the mouth. That's texture, right? So when we take a sip, I mean, also, kind of got ahead of myself there. We'll talk about the nose in a second, but it's quite amazing texture in the mouth, but it's followed up by beautiful acidity. So there's length in the palate. There's no new oak characteristic. It doesn't taste necessarily like oak, but you get this beautiful texture. You get all of this kind of almost like a mixture of like lemon pith, lemon lime pith, so like kind of almost like shaved lemon lime, but you're also getting a little bit of this kind of warm, like baked yellow apple, and also beautiful, like I said, texture, and the acidity's followed up. So it's like, it gives a lot of length into the palate. There's also, I think, beautiful minerality in this wine. You can almost taste, again, minerality is an interesting subject with everybody, but I think there's beautiful minerality. And then on the nose, you know, kind of white flower, there's a lot of pear blossom, those types of things. So I think it's a pretty, I'm very happy with this wine. I'm very happy with the style of Pinot Gris that we produce. I think it's interesting. I think it is layered, and it ages pretty well too. So yes, this is 2019, but as we go back in like the history of the Pinot Gris production, which started in 2015, it's pretty amazing wines. It ages well, particularly with that oak introduction.
I definitely get the acidity at the end, but the creamy mouthfeel comes across as like poached pears.
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of that on the taste.
Yeah, and even on the nose, like kind of almost like a lemon lime cream, if that makes sense. Anyways,
Right.
delicious wine. Should we
Try
put
the
that
Pinot.
aside and try the...
Try the Pinot.
I hope you guys, I should have set you up, I mean, with maybe having multiple glasses. If you just poured yourself like a big glass, either don't do this next one. I just wanted to introduce these two wines just so we can taste them, and as we move through the cheese board, then we can taste the wines and the cheese, and it kind of makes sense. So, pour this next one. When I pour wines, you guys, just so you know, I've seen a lot of different people pour wines, particularly our tasting room staff at staff parties. I bring a lot of different wines, and they like to pour 1/2 to 3/4 full glasses. When you're tasting wines, that's not how you do it. You pour this much, okay? And then it makes it easier to taste a bunch of different wines. Anyways, shout out to the staff. Love you guys. So, 2018 Wayward Son, Pinot Noir, Santa Rita Hills. Again, interestingly enough, I think I got my sort of first instinct to quote-unquote venture out to producing different Pinot Noir. Traditionally, prior to 2015, prior to my trip to Tasmania, we were sourcing pretty much all of our fruit from Pinot Noir from Riverbench Vineyard in Santa Maria, but in any case, we were making a Santa Maria Valley Pinot Noir, which is different from Santa Rita Hills, as you guys probably have tasted. They are very distinctive regions for Pinot Noir, and so I think when I returned, it was like, okay, most of the places I've worked in the world, cool climates, so 15 Tasmania, 16 South Africa, 17 making, South Africa Pinot Noir, 17 making more Pinot Noir in Argentina, 18, 19, 20 Pinot Noir in South Africa. I mean, that's been my entire experience, right? So not that that's not applicable to other varieties, but to try sort of my hand at a different region than we had previously worked with was an important decision for me. So in 2015, we actually worked with a different vineyard, but from 16 through 18, 19, 20, we get the fruit from a vineyard called Donica, which is on Santa Rosa Road in Santa Rita Hills. It's a north-facing vineyard. I call it Wayward Son because where it is on Santa Rosa Road is, if you look at it from like a bird's eye view, it is literally in the, there's nothing surrounding it. Like, there's huge chunks of vineyards along the road to Lompoc there, but this vineyard sits on its own and it's north facing, which is a bit of like it's a strange setup, I guess, because traditionally Southwest has kind of been like the ideal exposure for grapevines. So north facing is a bit odd. It's also got these super intense black soils, and it just creates this wine of distinction. Like, when we talk about wines, when you guys hear about people talking about wines from different vineyards in Europe, and like, this is a specific wine from this vineyard, etc., etc. This Wayward Son really being like, it's separated itself, in my opinion, from the sort of general style of Santa Rita Hills Pinot Noir that you see from a lot of other producers. And so that's why I felt like this is distinctive. You put this in a lineup of Santa Rita Hills Pinot, not just because it's Venture or Carhartt, but because this vineyard itself, very, very distinctive. So I'll start with the nose this time, because I got a little anxious with the Pinot Gris.
I think he's nervous.
Yeah, that's me.
It says there's 37,000 people watching.
And I just want to make sure I'm on time here, guys. I am long-winded when I talk about wines. I'm sorry. So on the nose, don't get me wrong, I think it's classic Pinot. I mean, look at the color. It's beautiful. But there's a little bit more of this. There's not only baking spice, but it's not uber ripe red fruit. It's not like pungent, aggressive, either acidic or ripe red fruit. This is kind of almost like, there's a little bit of this black olive, there's a little bit of this clove, almost aromatics to it, with sort of, to me, almost like a currant fruit kind of in the back. So it's just not the most kind of in-your-face Pinot Noir, and I like that. There's restraint to this, and it's a little bit more serious, and it's a little bit more elegant, and particularly as it ages. As it's young, that olive is really pronounced, which it is definitely not, for me, typical in Pinot Noir, but I think with this, it's really beautiful. So anyways, take a little taste. Again, as is important with our style, I would say, more on the feminine side, not super tannic, not like this crazy wrapped up structure, like super beautiful and silky, this early wonderful acidity as it follows through. But on the mouth, like, you get kind of these warm baking spices. I think that black olive really follows through. And it just creates this like delicious, unique, unique Pinot Noir that you put that in a lineup with all Pinots from this area in Santa Rita Hills, 100% of the time it's going to be a standout wine. So 12 months in oak here and 6 months in oak with this wine. So relatively younger wines, but doing well in the bottle. They'll age for quite some time because they have stable pHs and high acids. They're beautiful wines. Yeah.
Get started?
How was that?
You did great.
All right.
Great. Okay. Hey guys, so I'll take over for a little bit here. We're going to talk about some general rules when building a cheese board that you want to think about. Also some general rules about pairing wine. In general, like we'll test, it's not easy. Every cheese, the longer it sits on a shelf, it ages on even after you bought it at the store. It's constantly changing flavor profile, as is wine. Wine is constantly ebbing and flowing. If you lay a bottle down for a while, it gets smoother, it kind of lays out some of the tannins. So really pairing is not easy. We actually sat down about 2 weeks ago, opened up all the wine, and had
literally like 15 cheeses.
Yeah.
At least, maybe more. It was in the middle of my work day, and I drank because I can't help myself. I drank probably like 4 glasses. It was like power hour with wine and cheese.
And coming
during the middle of my work day.
As a lifeguard, you don't get 3 martini lunches. This is as close to drinking at work as I could ever get.
Yeah.
So he presented these 2 wines. That was where we started. So I would say when it comes to building a cheese board, ask yourself, why am I building the cheese board? As many of you have seen, we do the pop-up parties. There's these massive layouts, and we have big cutting board or big cheese boards filled with food, because it's a party. Whether it's a pickup party, it's a Super Bowl party, holiday party, you want to have an abundance. So if you're doing like a big party for 15, 20 people, then fill the board up. Then you've also got basically the specific cheese you want to highlight or specific wine you want to highlight, and that's when you go and you're at a winery or you're at a wine bar and they bring out each little specific one. Each comes with its own garnish, and the board looks, I don't say empty, but it's very spaced out because there's a specific reason for each cheese, each wine, each garnish.
So it kind of depends on what type of situation you're in. Not all cheese boards are the same.
No. So what the one we're going to try to build tonight and show you is that in between. It's a dinner party for 6 to 8 people, and so we'll give you some rules of thumb about how to. Here it goes. We're going to say cut the cheese a lot tonight, so you guys get your giggle out of the way because I'm going to have to try a hard time holding it in. All right, so we're going to talk about how you cut the cheese at a dinner party.
Yeah.
And
this guy's serious. I'm not joking. He sounds like he's joking, but I don't know if you saw these 3 little.
Oh, and we'll get into knives. We'll get into all of that. But so we know the reason we were building tonight's board was because Chase brought forward these 2 wines. So a simple rule of thumb I start with is young cheese, young wine, old cheese, old wine. So for an example, a brie would go really, really good with a white wine that's maybe been in stainless for a little bit, or like this one's 6 months on oak. And so that younger side lends itself to those things having a relationship, where if you have a really big Zin that's maybe been 18 months or 24 months in the barrel, it's laid down for a while, you got to bring in something big, like an aged Gouda or something like that. And so that's where I started. And then, like you said, we probably have 18 cheeses trying to narrow down what would work best. And so we did tonight, we picked the Mimolette, which is an aged cheese, and we picked Port Salut, which is a young, maybe 2 months or to 90 days that it's aged. And then we also picked the Mini Basque. And so of those, we have a variation of the actual milk, whether it's sheep, cow, there's buffaloes out there, lamb. So another rule of thumb, try to vary it so that you're not going right down one lane, because some people's palates are different and they're looking for different things.
I was just going to say, this is like, just to make you guys feel better, this is daunting for me. Like, I have a little bit of experience in wine and cheese pairing, but the thing is just like wines, I think the more you get into stuff like this, the more complex it gets. So please don't feel like this is like he is absolutely a master at selecting these cheeses and like building these boards and all this stuff, but it was just as much of an adventure and a discovery process for us with wine and cheese as it is for you guys. And I think that getting back to that, just to circle back, that's the whole idea with what are you building this for? Are you building it for because you're having people over to try these cheeses and eat them and enjoy them with a specific wine? Or do you not care and you just want to make something that looks pretty?
Right.
We're kind of going to do both, which is cool. And anyways, yeah.
So I would say, we're going to build that dinner table cheese board today. Back to the pairing comments that you're making, because things are so specific. If you're doing the big board for a party, just put cheese out there and cut it down for people, because no one will walk up to even a wheel of Jarlsberg and take slices out of it. They will let it sit brand new until the party is over with. So cut it up for them. And that can actually allow you to build that, what looks abundant on your cheese board. And also, don't care about the pairing. Once it's a party, there's going to be cocktails, wines, beers. Don't worry about it. Buy cheeses that are comfortable. Buy cheeses that typically have an edible rind, so that there are no people aren't like trying to find trash cans and scraps are ending up everywhere. And just when building that board, there's in all boards, big party, medium party, small. There's basically 6 elements that you want to have. Start cheese, a meat, a fruit or vegetable, a garnish.
There you go. That's
something that's crunchy, and something that spreads. I got all 6. Should end it with garnish. So you want to build all those elements, whether it's the party, the small one. Those are the basic 6 elements that you want to do. And again, try to have young wine, young cheese if you're going with the cheese pairing.
Yeah.
So we're going to get started.
Careful with those blades, man.
We're going to get started with the cheese. Can you hand it to me?
Yeah. Wait, so really quick, where did you get these cheeses? Is this a specialty cheese shop? Is this something that like is hard? I'm trying not to touch it. Yeah.
Answer, where do we get the cheeses? Knowing that it's our first attempt at doing something live like this, and maybe you guys are at home building along, so we went with stores that were accessible to most of us. So 2 of these cheeses could have been found at Trader Joe's. All 3 of them could have found at Whole Foods, and then also through the Southland area, Ralph's Grocery Stores has an interior cheese shop, a specialty cheese shop called Murray's. And so, Murray's does online.
Yep.
As well.
I just want to make that clear that this is not like something that you needed to go out and find at some like crazy radical cheese shop.
There are some crazy radical cheeses out there.
There are.
We found those, but they were hard to get. So
yeah, we also kept that in mind when selecting these cheeses.
So we'll start with the Mini Basque. All right.
Right.
Sheep cheese out of Spain, the Basque region.
Yeah.
That's why it's called Mini Basque. This does come with an edible rind, but it's actually coated in wax after that. So if you can scrape all that wax, and you could eat the rind. Personally, it's okay to leave the rind behind when you're having a small party. So I'm going to come in, you guys can all see this. The back has the rind, the front is already cut. This comes in a large wheel. So lay it out flat, take a large chef's knife, and just cut that waxy rind right off the back. So that way, when you lay it down, people can come in and start cutting off the pieces that they want.
Yep.
And when cutting a cheese, you're looking, the rind is what tells you what direction you want to cut the cheese. The rind, because every bite should have an equal piece of rind. Some people like rind, some people don't, but each bite should have an equal one. So we'll get into what on the port salute, how not to cut that in a second here. But if you're to make wedges this way of each one of those, each person has an equal piece of rind and an equal piece of cheese, so that ratio stays balanced.
I did not know that.
Because the cheese maker, in an edible rind, intends it to be eaten, so it's part of the flavor profile.
Got it. Okay. Cool.
So also, if you're, another little inside tip, if you're cutting a lot of cheese over and over and it's starting to stick, there are specialty knives that prevent that from happening, but also a little non-stick cooking spray on this, it'll allow it to slide through the cheese and you'll basically be able to go through it very quickly and not have it stick to the blade like I just had it.
Okay.
So we're going to start off by putting this mini Basque in one of the corners. Let's go to the next cheese. That's our Mimolette. All right, it's got a bright orange color to it. When it's not even a wheel, when it's in its aging state, it actually looks like a cantaloupe. If you guys have it at home, you can see it. I don't know if we can get close enough for you guys, but it literally has
It
a
does
texture.
kind of look like a cantaloupe skin.
And it is a round 4-pound ball. And so they cut it into these wedges. This is an edible rind. Most people, and if you have it at home tonight, you're probably not gonna end up enjoying it because it is a rind, but for some cheese manufacturers, they call it a crust because it gets very, very hard. And that's from the aging process when it sits in the cave. So there we got our Mimolette is out there. That is a cow's milk cheese, and I said it's been aged for about 24 months. Then we're gonna come in over here and we're gonna bring in our Port Salute. Port Salute is a very soft cheese. You'll get a very creamy texture out of it. And I talked about cutting it appropriately and inappropriately. So if you look at how this rind would go, basically you should cut it down this direction, right? If I can do
really?
This way. Most people want to present it like this up here, and it almost forces people to come in
Use the right knife now.
and come down this way, and that's called cutting off the nose. And you don't want to ever cut the nose off a cheese. If you do it, you have to come in this direction to cut this cheese if you want to have it standing upright. I like to lay it down, so the one on the bottom gets the insane rind, this one gets the insane rind, and then every slice after that would then have it. Making sense?
Okay. All right.
But again, I'm going to go back to, these are rules, but they're not laws. If you're at a party,
You were making it out like it was a law the other night when I tried to use a different knife to cut the cheese, and you almost cut my fingers off.
well, that's because I had water in my glass that I rinsed out and I screwed your pH up by 0.2. So if you want to get picky, I'll get picky.
All right.
All right.
For that.
So we've got our 3 cheeses out, and we're going to get into the tasting of them in a second or two. So when building the cheese board, we have our 6 elements that we're going after. Start with laying the cheese out first, because that's obviously the one that needs the most amount of space.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay.
Don't put all the garnishes and then you're pushing garnishes to the side.
Did not
Start
know
with
that.
the cheese, because that's the priority, and then we'll build in around it.
Got it.
When I tend to build a cheese board, I like something to anchor it. And so today, our spreadable item will be honey. So we're gonna put the honey right in the middle there. I have sometimes symmetry issues, sometimes I don't. We'll see where today goes.
Sweet.
We're gonna be creative as we build this. So now you've got your cheeses. For me, I've got my anchor point. So can you grab the meat for me?
We've got the meats. That
So-
was not a sponsored.
We're gonna put this right here
That
in
was
front.
not sponsored.
What, we don't work for Arby's?
No.
Okay.
You may as well, but
So we recommended tonight that we do a prosciutto and a salami. So I picked just a very simple salami, nothing with a heavy pepper, nothing with a lot of spice in it.
let's see if we can get that. Yeah,
There we go.
Shot right
To make things easy tonight, I kind of laid stuff out ahead of time. So, and I did a little bit of prep work. But what I'm going to show you guys, you can do, and by the way, this is a trademark term, so, but we're free to use it. I made a phone call, legal said it was all right. But make the meat salami, or the meat river, or salami river. You can do it 2 ways. You can fold it, just like that, lay it down. If you don't have a lot of time, you can just simply stack it the way I have it stacked up
That's
here.
what I do normally.
Yeah. But if you want to have the artistic side of it, fold it into quarters, just like this, and start doing that. And you'll start to eventually be able to lay them out next to the meat.
Without anything, you don't need a spear or anything like
Nope.
that.
I did pre-fold a whole bunch so we could move quickly tonight. You don't have to.
So
Well, you're a difficult boss.
I told you.
Ah.
This is the master coming out.
Well, I might be a master, but you forgot to tell everyone about the award I got. Volunteer Employee of the Month at Carhartt.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, for the record, I don't work here.
No. This is totally, yeah, he is a wonderful volunteer. He's amazing, actually, you guys. He's been helping for the last 2 days. He came up for this, but he decided to come up much to his wife's
chagrin.
Chagrin. Good term. On Sunday night, helped Monday, helped this morning, all day. And he's been pretty incredible. He's going to help tomorrow. And by the way, we're starting at 5 a.m., so it's been pretty intense, to say the least.
I'm just lucky it's not a long drive.
Exactly.
All right. So I got my.
So what are we doing here?
Got my salami all piled up.
Wild. Is there a rhyme or reason to the flow of how that's going?
Just to give dimension to the board itself, just to create.
So you're not doing like, okay, so you are kind of curving that.
Yeah. I'm trying
like
to,
a little
if you
like
guys can
river.
See, yeah.
Little river situation.
Just trying to make it work.
That's fine.
That one's not coming together for me. And I'll be honest with you, the fold is time consuming and often wants to unfold. But it does look very nice on a finished cheese board. And occasionally you have to find something to anchor it, so we'll probably use a garnish to anchor that river. So the other meat that we opted to use was the prosciutto. Prosciutto is difficult to work with, and obviously when it warms up, it gets a little slimy to the texture. Slimy is the wrong word. It gets oily. There's viscosity.
Sure.
People sometimes want to roll it. Other people want to just put it out there. They try to cut it in half. Best thing to do, just tear it. I just tore that piece off right there. And now we'll come in, make a little pile of it in the corner. Oops, start right here.
So like how though are you deciding where to put the meats? Like how is that like?
I'm trying to balance it. Not that you have to have equal meat on equal sides, but balance it out so that if someone's standing on one side of the cheese board and not the other, that they have access to some type of meat.
There's an interesting, okay, so you just want like, if the access points are double-sided, that they can hit at least one meat and one this, that, and the other.
Right.
That's, okay, fair enough. So, you spent some time in Croatia.
Yes.
When you came back, you couldn't help yourself but pronounce prosciutto a different way.
Yes, prosciutto.
Yes,
they say prosciutto.
He was very adamant about pronouncing it that way.
And I'm convinced that Lisa and Anthony are out there, the family members that took us to Croatia. If you guys ever have a chance, it is a beautiful country. It is the homeland of Primitivo wine, which is better known as what here?
Zinfandel.
Zinfandel. I learned that when I was there. We're just tearing off pieces at this point. I hope you guys are all following along.
It's making me hungry.
Oh, it smells delicious.
Oh God, this board's getting heavy.
Wait a minute, I thought you were farm strong.
I am.
He tells me all the time how farm strong he is.
I am. I'm farm strong. I'm not gym strong. I'm farm strong.
I don't work out. I'm farm strong. I don't need to work out.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're a gym rat, dude. And a peach guy. Okay.
Almost done with the prosciutto. 2 more pieces and we're good to go, folks.
Okay.
We'll tuck it around here on the side.
So there's 2 meat rivers.
Yep.
That sounds cool.
Those rivers almost converged.
They do.
All right, so now we've got the meat and the cheese. Really, in my opinion, 2 most important parts of any cheese board, the meat and the cheese. The rest is the garnish. So we're going to go with the fruit next. So we're going to start adding the fruits in.
Feel free to eat some on the side.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys get hungry.
Grapes, please. Bring the board back. I tried to put it down.
I just put it down.
All right, so we each selected just red table grapes. They'll work out quite nice because
Are these Thompson seedless?
they are Thompson seedless.
Very nice.
This will work out kind of nice because what it'll allow us to do is to end up having a little sweetness to kind of take the palate out and between the wines and stuff like that. So now we've got this stuff nice and laid out here. So we have fruit. I know technically not a vegetable.
We've got balance. We've got some locations.
Yes.
Is that correct?
We
You're leaving yourself some locations here. That's what I see. That's just what I see.
No, 100%. Because I'm going to start filling in those voids with more garnish. So for me, oh, by the way, if you guys ever get up here, Finley Farms on the corner of
Shout out Finley.
Refugio and
Baseline.
Greatest little market vegetable stand on the side of the road.
Honor system.
Honor system. Big metal bucket. Put your money in. She now takes Venmo. That's how I pay today. Venmo. But I saw these peppers and I just like looked at the color. Thought the color looked really nice, and I decided.
Baby bells. What are they?
They are sweetbreads.
They're habaneros.
And that's 18.5 bricks in a habanero. All right, so we're gonna fill in those a little bit here with all the orange that's over here on this side and all the orange and the cheese over here. I'm gonna actually bring in the reds over here.
This is a pro tip right here.
And then on where it lacks the orange,
Look at that.
we're bringing the orange peppers over here on
This is
side.
where we get, yeah. This is where we get professional.
Back that up.
This is where I lack.
All right. So one thing we learned the other day, and I like dried fruit because it sits on the plate easily. A lot of people snack on it quickly. It's not complicated. Doesn't make a mess. Most dried fruits, there's not going to be a stem left outside or seeds that people are spitting out. So we got some of the dried apricots that we're going to bring in. And come over here because we already got too much orange right there.
Okay, so we're going orange opposites.
We're going to get the dried apricots in here. We're going to come in. Again, just raisins.
Different color.
Trying to bring things into the palate.
Got it. Like it. Love it.
But also it's a similar, right in the honey.
Dude,
we will fix that. We will fix that. All right, so we got some dried raisins here, but still, for me, I know they're different colors and they're not the same fruit, but there's symmetry. Dried.
Yep.
I do have some weird symmetry issues. All right, so next we're going to bring in some crackers, and actually there's a second bag that got moved away. Yeah, Trader Joe's bag over there?
No, we baked these, dude.
No, and that one, the box.
This one? This one? Oh, my bad. Okay, got it.
So we're going to take these guys here,
Difficulty.
add a little light color over here.
Just make sure they're not poisonous.
These guys, again, they are rosemary.
Delicious.
They're raisin out of Trader Joe's.
Delicious.
I wouldn't know.
Truth be told, guys, these are also Trader Joe's. They were the old, if you guys ever remember in the days where we used to be able to serve crackers in a tasting room, that's what we used to have. Delicious, savory, mini tins.
I got a little extra open space, so I'm going to bring it in over here.
Delicious.
Just
Trader
fill that in
Joe's
with some
plug.
extra space.
Delicious stuff.
And lastly, go to the cracks, the voids that are in your cheese board. Come in here. Add some nuts. It's over here. That's a little bit around here. And that will actually start to fill in all the voids and the vacancies of the cheese board. Okay. And
Wow.
went a little too far there. There we go. Hopefully on the Instagram live it's probably going to be a little bit better, but that's our cheese board.
You're moving out of the frame on the Facebook Live.
Oh, let's back it up for Facebook Live. Spin it a little bit.
Yeah, spin it. Give it some. Yeah, there. Okay. What about this?
Whatever we
It's
just
gonna
did,
be
Katie
dangerous.
lost it.
It's gonna be dangerous.
Oh, playing with fire. Playing with fire.
Look at that. Look at that. That's good stuff.
Let's drop that thing.
Heavy. All right.
I'm farm strong. Look at me. I'm farm strong.
I only work with grapes. Okay.
Okay. Right there. All right. So before we get into the tastings, we'll start tasting with the items that are on the board. Real quick, talk about knives. So there are different cheese knives. Maybe that's set right there. Most everybody will be familiar with this set. There was one more down there by the wooden handle ones.
Want all these?
Oh, just the wood, just the stainless. So perfect. So these are the traditional cheese knives. I'm sure everyone has them at home. They all do have a specific reason. So
This I did not know. I'll be brutally honest. I had no idea that this was the case.
I do have a little bit like more of an industrial sized pair, but they're all the same purpose. So the knife, one with the holes in it, that's for a very soft cheese. You got your brie, camembert, harbisons, any of those bloomy rind cheeses that want to ooze once the rind breaks away. The holes are there so that you don't have the stickiness. So you're going to want to use that. We don't have a particular one on the plate tonight, so we could go with the semi-soft or the softest one on the plate. We probably will use with that. So we can put that right over here.
Are we doing this before the garnish?
Oh,
Purposeful. Sorry, I just
well,
trying to stay on track, man.
I did. We had fresh
It
thyme
is
for
an
garnish.
important- Yep, this is a garnish. You could have done it after, and it could have looked smooth, but I decided to bring it up.
All right. So, where's my Instagram? I gotta do my own Instagram photo.
Garnish is here.
Garnish. Just place the garnish around anywhere.
It does add a pop of color. I will say it completed
doesn't
the
need
board.
to be edible.
It completed the board.
Yep. And if you know what, you want to take the space up here, you can put it up here. I would make it go around the round one. It might not work. There we go.
See, right there?
So back to the knives. So this knife here, the one that looks like a very small chef's knife, that would be for your firmer cheeses, but not hard aged cheese. So tonight that will be the mini Basque, right? Because it can cut cleanly with a chef's knife. So that's what these little mini looking chef's knives are for. We have this guy here, right? So that is going to be for tonight's mimolette. It's basically, we want to start getting into it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Totally,
so
dude. Yes. I would
When
love
you
to
have an
drink it.
aged Gouda or any of these hard Parmesan, Asiago, these
Yeah.
hard cheeses, they're not meant to be sliced. They're meant to be broken. So get in there, and that's what that wedge is for, is breaking off little chunks. And then you can get into it with a toothpick or your finger, depending on what level the party's at. Okay. So that's pretty much my little spiel on knives. We're going to lose Instagram Live here, so we're going to start charging the phone.
No, just the computer.
Just the computer. We're
It's
losing
all right.
power
No,
on.
we're not. We're not. We got it plugged in. I saw that come up. That would have been a big no-no. So
All right.
we're good.
So
Woo!
we are
Avoided.
going to set 2 plates, one for Chad, 3 plates. The lovely Katie will get one as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. So again,
So really quick, I'm sure you're going to show this, but if you just stating something you already told me, if you are having people over and you want to make it easier on them, you could on this board pre-cut those.
you could have made this entire. You could have cut all this up, created like a
Exactly.
fan
I
out
know
of
you
it.
kind
like
of said
a
that just to
fucking
reiterate. Yeah.
I know, crazy mind. Like a nautilus shape you could make out of like
Yeah.
the little wedges, the little triangles you get. So be adventurous. Like, and again, the bigger the amount of people you're serving, the more you need to cut the cheese down for them to take it. Provide toothpicks, stuff like that.
Yeah.
In small plates. That direction. All right.
This is what it looks like.
All right. So next we will go into the mini Basque.
So if you guys have these cheeses, like he's doing, please cut a few slices of each of them so that we can try them with the wines.
Now, again, on the mini Basque, it's not an edible rind. So it's a little waxy, so that you'll have a little tidbit there at the end.
I would be drinking more if I was on the other side of this, like you guys. So the only reason I'm not drinking is because I'm holding these plates. I would have been drinking the whole time. Truly.
Now, if you are going to cut cheese up for other individuals to put on your cheese board, they need to be about 2.2 to 1/4 ounce.
Yeah.
So, because 2 to 4 ounces is going to be like a lot of cheese for people to eat. So then, but we're going to have a lot of bites. So you need to make them small enough. These are probably just slightly larger than they need to be. We'll get you some table grapes. Grapes for you.
So,
A little bit of salame.
thank you.
The prosciutto.
Okay. There it
Leave it
comes.
up.
There it is. I told you.
To salami.
Can't help himself.
Prosciutto. Prosciutto.
Sweet, sweet.
And then we're going to leave everything else, all the
I
little
think, yeah, I
raisins
think
and the
it's a good
apricots to the side,
Yep.
so that you can come back in as you need it, or you want to clean the palate between wines. You can just jump in there
Let's
and
get
kind
this
of
situation
snack
going.
on what you want.
Chase is getting a little thirsty. All right. Just pouring some wines. Pouring some wines.
Okay.
All right.
I'm totally out of frame.
Here we go, guys. We're back on the Pinot Gris 2019. So let's remind ourselves. A little bit of salinity, kind of nice light stone fruit, white flour, great viscosity, great mouthfeel, like very happy with that, and also really good acidity. So I want to take one more sip, smell and sip of that.
So we did our experimental or tasting the other day, and this is the one that we felt goes best with the mini Basque.
Yes.
So I guess we go around.
Mini Basque is
sheep's milk. The one over here.
Milk, the one over here that is kind of that does not have an orange
hue to
it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Should we try it?
Let's give it a shot.
So you guys took a little sip of that wine and smelled it and tasted it, and then we'll just kind of, honestly, I just kind of dive on in.
When I drink wine, I kind of dive on in. He slowly sips it, lets it sit on the tongue.
Is this like a heavy? Is this like a hard? This is a semi?
It's a semi-firm cheese.
There we go.
But with cheese, it should always be served at room temperature because there's fats in it, and those fats want to dissolve on your tongue, and that's what gives a lot of the unctuousness, the creaminess. And so, try to do your best to serve them at room temperature, but also let it sit on your tongue. Like this cheese, push it into the roof of your mouth. The nuttiness comes out when you do it.
Totally. Also, for me, a little bit of salinity in the cheese itself, which I thought was pretty cool. It's a bit salty, which I really like.
So, what we decided, he likes the salinity. There's the salinity in the cheese. There's salinity in the wine towards the end.
Yeah.
That acidic finish.
That just flows.
So this pairing is complementing.
Yes,
right?
complementary.
It's a complementary pairing. They both have saltiness in it, the salinity, and so it complements one another. Versus you can get things that your other option would be to contrast. So that would be a blue cheese with honey, the salty.
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah, to the sweet.
Yeah, correct.
Versus both are going in the same direction.
Lot of comments coming through. Haven't been able to sit and read them, but amazing stuff, guys. Thank you.
Did you tell them they can ask questions?
Yeah. If you want to ask questions, please throw it up in the chat. We'll try and get to that as best we can, but I do want to get through this information.
So let's move on to the next cheese.
No, but just really quick, I do want to talk about it. I mean, you guys take a bite of that cheese and then you go into this wine. Like, when we say complementary, it means that it is, to me, sort of like highlighting that wine's profile and the cheese sort of simultaneously, and like extending flavor profiles of both of them. That's how I feel, right? Like this cheese sort of highlighted, in my opinion, a bit of the salinity in the wine itself, maybe a slight bit of nuttiness, and also gave this, again, elevated that kind of warm apple flavor profile, and then also with that acid still following through. Like, it still gave length to the wine. And I think that's a really important factor. Like, when we try stuff that doesn't work, which is the next cheese, it's not good. Like, it really doesn't do well. And that's an important factor when you are getting serious about wine and cheese. If you don't do it right, it can be pretty detrimental to, like, a wine that you potentially spend some time and some money on. So there is that gamble. So
we'd recommend
I need to pour myself more because I almost drank it all.
We're going to recommend cleansing the palate on some level. So either the cracker or even a grape. And again, the salted roasted nuts up here on the top of the board and on the sides here, that salinity will still complement this, but kind of prepare the palate for the next cheese that we're going to get after.
Really quick, just give a little close-up of that situation. I think someone just asked. Oh, damn, 2 cameras. Tough. Okay. That's for Facebook. Go into the gram. This isn't a wide angle, guys. That's all shoulders right here, just so you know, on me. All shoulders. Don't. Look, check that out. Yeah. There we go.
Someone's in love with himself. Put the board down.
Dude. That's all shoulder work. There we go. Okay. Okay, here we go.
So sticking with that wine.
Yeah, I think we should. That's
Pinot
what we should
Gris.
do. Yeah, stick back with it.
Move over to the Mimolette.
That's orange
the bright
one.
orange cantaloupe one.
It's like a Halloween cheese.
You'll notice much harder, firm from the aging process.
On its own, delicious cheese. Almost feels like this cheese, I'm going to apply it to wine, has more tannin.
Structure.
Like, literally, you're trying to get through this thing. There's a lot.
Take a sip. they fight each other.
I think for me, it just, you can feel this collide of the two wines. So it's like all this tannin and aggression kind of mixing with this like beautiful salinity, acidic profile. And it's just sort of colliding.
It's
and
hard and firm and soft and silky.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's how they're fighting.
And so I just don't feel like you get the full experience like you did with the marriage of that first one, the Basque cheese. It's like two different things coming together, converging and flowing like a river, like really beautiful, whereas this is just hitting and colliding. It's kind of like, maybe I shouldn't go into analogies, it's probably not a good time to do that. Yeah, so in any case, we wanted to show you that because we do think the Pinot Noir does go well with that Mimolette, even though on its own, I think it is a really delicious cheese. It's just not particularly well suited for this wine. And I think, again, yeah, you know, to each his own. That's something that we felt that it didn't go well. If you guys are at home feeling like you really enjoy that, just like wines, do your thing. Like, do you. It's totally cool.
No problem.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. What should we do now?
We will go to the
Port Salut?
the Port Salut next.
Delicious. Looks awesome. Are we supposed to eat the whole thing?
You can. Believe it or not, we can cut more. All right, so what you'll get out of that one immediately is that it's that soft texture. It's just creamy on the tongue,
Very.
and then it goes kind of into like a slightly fruity and then nutty, which is what's still now complementing.
Not super intense,
No.
like by any means, but like just
No.
makes you kind of just want to take that whole thing and take a big chunk out of it. Right? Again, flow, right? Like the acidity cutting through kind of this creaminess, this like more fatty style, this cheese, the salinity being showed. You've got that fruit. Kind of now, as we're finished, after that wine's finished, now you're kind of getting like more of that fruit, more of that apple following through, a little bit of that citrus fruit.
Because if you think
It's
about
delicious.
it, a really fatty steak
Yeah.
needs a really acidy wine to cut
Yeah.
through the fat, get it off the tongue, and prepare you for the next
Well,
bite.
ideally, yeah,
This
for sure.
cheese is higher in milk fat, and it's young, so it hasn't had that chance to age and develop. And so you have all that creaminess, the fat that's in it, and
Yep.
then you come in with the salinity and the
Love it.
acidity over here that kind of does the salt sweet with
Yep.
the fruitiness in here and the salinity over here.
Perfect.
All
A
right.
little piece of salami or prosciutto, close the palate, or both.
All right.
Gotta go.
We're getting long-winded here. We need to get going. What?
Pinot's over there.
In comes the Pinot.
Mmm. Delicious.
They probably tell you never eat on camera.
You know what the funniest thing about this is? If I'm in the tasting room, I cannot stand eating in front of you guys. Like, some people are here, I'm like doing my thing, entertaining, whatever. Like, if there's food being served, if there's a food truck, I will not eat. I won't eat for the whole, I will eat when I get home, but I just can't stand it. And now, look at me, eating on camera in front of everyone. I would need new cheeses of everything because I finished all of them.
I noticed.
Fun stuff.
Here's a fun fact. Anyone out there know why there's a little fork on the end of your cheese knives? Oh, we got that little forky thing there, a little pricker? To do
There we
that.
go.
There you go. You can figure it. I'm gonna have some more myself. Which one do you need?
Mimolette.
Mimolette, it is coming up.
Say that in your best. Is it French?
Oh. Oui, oui, it's
My mom-
Mimolette!
Yeah.
No, that was.
That's
I'm
Italian.
Italian.
That's literally, you're a cheese master, man. But you need to work on the French accent. If my mom was here, she would be doing it perfectly. Okay, Pinot Noir, you guys. Again, that's sort of opened up. Really beautiful red fruit coming through now. kind of like almost slightly underripe red fruit. Again, you get sort of this like warm baking spice, clove. There might be almost a little bit of nutmeg in there, like something like. It's just a really, really enticing wine.
So I'm gonna recommend. Cause the one we picked for this was the Mimolette, and hopefully all of you out there will have the same reaction we did when we tried them together. So let's go ahead and take a bite.
Or the whole thing. As much as you want. Eat as much as you want. No one's judging. You're at home.
You might actually get some of the salt crystals to actually use add a little chunk there.
Totally.
That's actually an amino acid that's coming out of it through aging process.
There we go.
Just saying.
You're a science guy, man.
Hey, I learned what inoculate means this weekend. What do you get?
To me, again, so interesting because it is Pinot Noir, but now we're dealing with a red wine. That intense structure of the Mimolette, right? That like tannin, quote unquote tannin, all of a sudden marries with this Pinot Noir, I think. So it becomes it's not a conflicting feeling, right? Not a conflicting texture in the mouth. And then all of the flavor profiles of that Pinot Noir are lifted. So that beautiful red fruit, the baking spices, they're all coming through and they're finishing with that acidity. Again, same idea, right, as the white wine, but now we're dealing with a Pinot Noir.
That's what it does for me. Like, I put the cheese on the tongue, push it in the roof of my mouth, let it melt a little bit.
Yep.
And with that sip, that fruit is so forward and so strong, but it's not being taken away by the structure of the wine. It still remains on the tongue because how aged this is and how much structure this cheese has.
I ate all of it again.
All right. I'm looking at time, right? I'm sure all of you out there in TV land want us to keep going.
Yeah, also I'm sure you guys are trying to actually eat
dinner.
So
Okay, so here we go. We will move on to, I'm going to recommend that we go to the mini Basque next.
okay, because that was the technically like conflicting.
Yep.
Technically conflicting. Still good though. On its own, still delicious. And by the way, we're doing this for purposes of, tasting the cheese, but feel free to eat crackers on the side, things like that. What do you think, dude?
Yeah. It takes too much of it off too much of the cheese is taken off my tongue.
Yeah, so
there's nothing that remains there.
So I think what it's doing is neutralizing the flavor profile of the cheese and the flavor profile of the wine.
Because the fruitiness is gone in the wine.
It's not terrible, but it's neutralizing everything. And that in and of itself, to me, is a bad pairing, right? So like, if you're getting just neutral, and you're like, well, that didn't taste like what the wine tasted like on its own, or the cheese on its own, that's neutral, and technically speaking, not the worst, but definitely not a good pairing. It didn't lift, right? It's like a relationship.
Oh, no, we're not. No.
It's like
no.
you and your wife.
A minute and a half until it kicks
How many
off.
years?
We got a minute and a half to get kicked
Until
off this thing.
Instagram kicks
So,
Oh boy.
we are going to go to the final cheese
Okay.
pairing and wine pairing.
Let's do it.
That is the Port
It was a
Salut.
bad segue anyways. That was my bad. Port Salut.
Nice, still creamy, slightly sweet.
That cheese is so
I'll
good.
just go back live.
And there's the fruit again.
On the finish, you get that beautiful fruit and spice that comes through, particularly on the finish, right? So like mid palate into finish, beautiful. And actually through the finish, I'm tasting more of the cheese. I think it's pretty delicious. That's just a dang good
it's
cheese.
creamy to the fruity, slightly nutty, but no salinity in it. So that's what is allowing all that fruit to come through without getting conflicted by the cheese. Because this has high salinity. This is all aged and structured.
Amazing stuff.
We're
Delicious,
out of time.
nutritious. Cheese is good for you for most people, hopefully, if you can do dairy. I want to say one more time, you guys, thank you so much for being a part of this. There were so many comments. We got 8 seconds on Instagram Live, but Facebook's hopefully
Email
still gonna keep
Evan
going.
if you want wine. Email
you-
Katie if you want another one of these videos.
Pause due to poor connection. That's weird. Okay, so we're on Facebook now.
Only Facebook?
Well, right now, yeah. I want to say, you guys, thank you so much for joining. For all of you out there, it means so much to us. It means so much that you care and that you want to be a part of what we're doing. We do this stuff for you. Like, I had a long day. This guy has had a long day. Drove up from Costa Mesa. Like, 100% of this is for you guys. 100%. Like, we want to do things that are fun for you guys at home, that are educational, that highlight wines. But, you know, like, our business is one thing, but like really bringing value to you guys through our club and through our wines and those things is like the absolute most important thing. So I just want to be clear on that, and I want to say thank you so much. If I haven't seen you in the tasting room, it's because I've been stuck back at the winery, but I will reemerge probably at the end of October, early November. And I love you guys. You're everything to us. You're what got us through the toughest time for most businesses ever. I'm so appreciative of guys like him, friends that have brought so much value into our lives, and in turn bringing value to you guys. And I just really appreciate it. And I hope that was, you know, good enough in the last hour. So
I love you, Kelly.
cheers. We love you too, Kelly. Cheers to you guys. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry, my bad. That was weird. Enjoy the wines. You guys need anything, as usual, you have any questions, hit us up. We're available. DM me, whatever you need. Thank you so much. We out.
Mahalo.